Welcome to our program. Today we are talking about when you decide that it's time for you to buy your first home. And the question is, what is the first step to take? And we at Century 21 believe in educating our clients. I'll let everybody introduce themselves.
My name is Philomena Maricela. Patricia Mavis.
Nana Frumpoma.
And I'm Jason Bebo with Fairway Mortgage.
Thank you very much. First, so we will go to Nana first and ask, what should a first-time buyer, what should be their first step when they decide to buy a home?
Buyer's consultation. It's really important to build a good relationship with your buyer, and plus educate him about the process of buying a house and trying to understand, each other better.
So when you say that you will be sitting down with the buyer, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sitting down with the buyer one-on-one and building that kind of relationship. It's really important.
And what are some of the questions that they have to ask the agent when they meet with you?
No, they want to find out about loan, what they qualify for. That will be the job of a lender. My job is basically just to walk them through the process. What you need, the pre-approval, looking for a house, going through home inspection, even negotiating, going through home inspection, appraisal, and walk through until you get your keys.
Okay. So do they have to talk to a lender before they come, or they should come first?
I prefer sitting down with them first. So based on the conversation, it makes it much easier for the lender as well. Be able to, we'll be able to share common information with the lender, and that makes it much easier, even for the buyer, because then they feel comfortable with you. So when they're talking to the lender, they know exactly what kind of questions to ask the lender and what to expect. So I think sitting down with the real estate agent is very important from Century 21.
Of course.
All right, so Jason, Nana said something about pre-approval. So after they sit down with us as the agent, then it's time for them to come talk to you about the money parts.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you need from them for the pre-approval?
So if we're doing a pre-approval, I usually need their most recent pay stub, at least the most recent W-2, if not the last 2 years' W-2s. A bank statement is helpful. But really, the first time I talk to a buyer, it's more of a consultation. They want the pre-approval and they want to understand how much they qualify for, but there's so many different loan programs that I need to understand their big picture so I can kind of point them in the right direction, give them the right advice for which loans are best for them, and kind of explain the different options so they can choose what they want to go for financing options.
Okay. So what are some of the good questions that you think they should ask if they are first-time buyer ask their lender?
Well, the first question I always get is, how much am I qualified for? The second question should be, how much should I be spending? Just because I qualify for a $3,000 a month mortgage payment, is that what I should get? And we'll talk about budgeting and that stuff as well. Other questions would be, based on the type of loans that you're recommending, what type of house should I be looking at? What kind of condition should the house be in? How long does it take to close a loan? How long does it take to go through the process? What are the interest rates? What are the closing costs? What else? Those are the big ones.
Okay. All right, so once they come to you and you identify their need, and you get them a pre-approval, then they come back to us, the real estate agent, and I'll go to Mavis now. Somebody has a pre-approval and they come to you. What is the next step?
The next step is actually the fun part, is looking for the house. It's the most important, of course. Every home every individual is different, so you have to kind of have an idea of what you're looking for based on experience, based on your need for your family or the reason why you're looking for that property. What we'll do is we'll just sign you up on MLS for you to, based on what the criteria that you give us. We'll sign you up on MLS. You get multiple listings every day, every hour, however frequently you want it. You get listings. I'll go through some of the listings myself to see if any of them matches what you're looking for. So anytime you see a house or I see a house that I think is in what you're looking for, I would get in touch with you and then would schedule an appointment to go and see it. What my mentor here taught me, which was very important, is if you see a house that you like, is instinctive. You immediately, you gravitate towards it and you like it. So once we see something that you like, what we'll do is we'll just put in an offer. It used to be very easy with putting in the offers, you get it, but now it's almost always a bit in war with the offers coming in. So we'll put in the best offer that we can for the house, and then if our offer gets accepted, then we'll move forward with the deal, and in terms of just getting you your home, the home of your dreams, pretty much.
So yeah, as Mavis explained, we were looking at the MLS, but sometimes you have to look offline. So we pride ourselves in looking online and offline for our clients. So if there's ever a house to be had, we'll work hard to make sure you get it.
Absolutely.
And so after you get the house, now, Marcella, what do you do? What will be? What should the buyer expect?
We will move forward to home inspection. It is a very important part of getting your home. After offer gets accepted, we have a certain time frame to get the home inspected. Although it is not required, it is highly recommended because you want to avoid any future problems with the house that you potentially want to have in your hands. And so therefore it's a very good and inexpensive way to get your home inspected and make sure that everything is the way that it's supposed to be, and issues that do not meet the eye at the first couple times that you go see it are not found. And if there are, ways to fix it, or kind of talk with the buyer and with the seller and come to some type of, solution so we can move forward with the sale and getting you the home of your dreams.
Sure. So you're saying that after we do the inspection and I find something, the buyer finds something wrong with it, and does the seller always take care of it?
Not always. It depends really on how the house is being sold, or if they're willing to make those type of repairs for the house. So it's type of a give and take in certain situations, but there's always ways to make it work.
Okay. So if they decide that after the inspection there's too much work, what can they do?
Where it would be the ball be in the court to either move forward with the house and go with that. So if there really are major big issues, they have the option to look for other houses that do not require that much work.
Right.
Yeah.
So in other words, if after the inspection, if for some reason you don't like it, you can change your mind and your deposit will be refunded back.
Correct.
But let's say you like the house, everything is good, so you're moving forward. And I know after the inspection, I'll go back to Jason, you have to do an appraisal, right?
Yes,
And the bank sends an appraisal to see the property.
yes.
Yeah, so I take it the inspection is for the buyer, but the appraisal is for the lender.
Right, the
You break
inspection,
it down.
inspection's for the home buyer's purposes, and, we don't need to see a copy of that, that's just for their knowledge. The appraiser will go, and the appraiser is not a home inspector, so they're not nearly as thorough, but the appraisal is for the bank's purposes, so we know the house meets the guidelines for the specific program they're going through, and that it's gonna be at least worth what they're paying for it.
Right. So let's say there have been instances when the property is not worth what they're paying for. What is the step after if the house doesn't appraise?
Okay, so if the appraisal comes in low, we have a few choices. We can go back to the appraiser and we can dispute the appraisal. We can provide comparables that maybe the appraiser didn't see or didn't use, ask them why they didn't use those comparables. We look for errors in the appraisal, maybe there's incorrect bedroom count or the wrong square footage. That's kind of the first thing we look at is, can we dispute the appraisal? And if we can get a successful adjustment, that's usually the preferred course. Otherwise, you can go back to the sellers and try to negotiate a different price. You know, maybe you'll meet in the middle, or maybe the sellers understand that the house really isn't worth what they originally accepted for an offer, and, you know, they'll agree to the appraised value. If the appraisal comes in low and you agree to a middle ground, so let's say you're buying a house for $300,000, the appraisal's $270, and the seller says, okay, well, I'll take $290. It's $20,000 over the appraised value. The buyer's gonna have to come up with that difference. So they'll have to bring an extra $20,000 to closing in that example. But it's better than the 30 that it started out with.
Thank you very much. So, let's say everything works out, the house appraises, and we're moving forward. So I come to the meeting now. Why do people do a walkthrough before they close?
Well, the final walkthrough that buyers should always do, the reason for it is you want to make sure that the property you're purchasing is going to be presented to you the way you want it to be presented. In other words, you want to make sure that everything's functioning properly, that was agreed upon during the inspection. Anything that needed to be fixed, if it was fixed, you need to go back and make sure that it was properly fixed and it functioned properly. Also, if there's anything that was left in the property that you did not want, personal properties of that nature, you can have the opportunity to go ahead and have them removed it, just to make sure the closing is closed upon the way you want it to be.
Nice, nice. So you don't want to end up not walking through the house and then you close, and when you come, the kitchen cabinets are gone.
That's even everyone's furniture in there still when you did not request for those to be kept in the property. So the final walkthrough gives you an opportunity to make sure before you get to the closing, anything that needs to be finalized is finalized to your liking.
Oh,